All right, good morning, everyone. My name is Amir Faroki, Chair of the City Council, Transportation Committee. I want to welcome you to the August 10th, 2022 meeting of the City Council Transportation Committee. I'm joined by Council Members Juan and Dozier to my left. We'll be joined by a few others to make quorum shortly. When we do, we'll go ahead and vote on the agenda and approve the minutes, but we can go ahead and get started with public comment and presentations if we haven't reached quorum yet. So we'll turn first to public comment. Who do we have signed up for public comment? Just Mr. Shakir, the floor is yours. You have 3 minutes. Listen, I appreciate you wanting a full house. I can't control who shows up. Sometimes we have the full committee, sometimes we have 6, sometimes we have 5, and you speak just fine with that. So this is the period for public comment. I would encourage you to take advantage of it if you so wish.
That we're moving to by our young, newly elected citizens and representatives in such a crucial time and so many crises that we're dealing with. And freedom of speech and public engagement is at the top of a list of what America's about and what she stands for, Mr. Faroki. We need to be able to recognize our history and remember. But when Shirley Franklin, Mr. Faroki, was the mayor of Atlanta, before a vote was cast by our sitting council members, Mr. Faroki, they had a chance to go to the podium when it was over there and make a comment. They was able to make a comment when they walked in the beginning of the meeting, after a presentation is made, at the end of the meeting, and when legislation was walked in. But these young council people now is cowering and shrinking to the issues of the day that concern citizens. And you do it by taking away the right to engage our elected officials. And you talk about what I don't have a problem with. Well, I don't see what you're doing too often. Transportation is very important to the history of the movement of America. Birmingham, Alabama wasn't the first protest. Many women and men have stood up about their rights. But it was the one that got the connection where it caught on in the press. Because being able to project is important. And you shouldn't take a rush on to that. There's a lot going on in transportation today. I know some citizens in transportation who go up into the World Congress Center. They was taxi cab drivers. The school I went to, we had about 2 families who own taxi cab companies. And it has up there parking for Uber and Lyft, a new innovation, a good innovation. But the taxi cabs are being left out. Why? Those are discussions that need to be able to have. And are they happening at the airport? We ought to find out. But I tell you they are. They're happening at the World Congress Center. They're happening at hotels. But they are. But when you take away the opportunity to have a discussion about that, you're participating in it, Mr. Faroki. And I think you are a newcomer. You're a new person that we thought would have a new youthful energy, like the ones that come from the Board of Education, and like the ones who sit over here from the West End, that have put single lanes on our street, that in this committee, there was a question about those transportation moves, and you know what it was? How did we get so far down the road? And you know what? In that Martin Luther King initiative, the Atlanta Police Department has not signed off on it. You know why? Because they said it's not safe. The fire department. I want to ask you this one question. I'm going to sit down. Will you find out what is the status of the Martin Luther King corridor? Is it safe or is it not safe? Had the police, had the fire department, which is under their purview, from what I understand, was the responsibility to sign off on it. Will you check that out, Mr. Faroki?
Thank you, Mr. Shakir.
I asked you a question. Will you check that out?
We will have a presentation from DOT. Myself or my colleagues can ask that question of DOT during the...
Well, I hope you don't shut them down, but I think you should be able to answer that question since you are the chair. Is Martin Luther King a legal lane to travel on? Has it been approved by the fire department?
You've exceeded your time. Thank you very much. And I will remind both Mr.
Elected official, if you continue shutting.
I will remind Mr. Shakir and members of the public, you are welcome to come to City Hall and make public comment at our meetings. You're also welcome to email us, call us, meet with us. There's a number of ways to express your opinion to us. I assure you that every one of my colleagues make time and take those communications seriously.
It is less than what it was before you got here, sir.
Our next...
It just can happen a different way.
Mr. Shakir, thank you. Our next item is to recognize, we've been joined by council members Sean Waits, Westmoreland, and Overstreet. We now have a quorum, so we will handle our first voting item of the day, which is the adoption of the agenda. Could I get a motion to adopt the agenda? Motion by Juan, second by Dozier. Please open the vote.
The vote is open. The vote is closed. 6 yeas, 0 nays. The agenda has been adopted.
Our next item is item D on the agenda, and that is to approve the minutes. Could I get a motion to approve the minutes? Motion by Juan, second by Westmoreland. Please open the vote.
The vote is open. Will everyone please vote? The vote is closed. 6 yeas, 0 nays. The minutes have been approved.
Excellent. We have completed public comment for today. Our next item are presentations. We'll have a presentation from the Atlanta Department of Transportation, its quarterly report. And then following that, before we move to voting items, we'll have a brief comment from the Law Department. Commissioner, the floor is yours.
Good morning. Thank you, everybody. I'm very excited to report out on some of the tremendous accomplishments of the amazing team that I now have the opportunity to lead in the transportation group. We're going to cover a variety of the programs and efforts of the group during the talk, and to the best of my ability, after 3 weeks, I will answer whatever questions you have for me. First and foremost, I always want to make sure that we all recognize that safety is what we think about all day long, and that safety across all aspects of our project work, our team members, our public, and everything we do, we always look at the work through a lens of safety. I do want to share some very sad news. Many of you are aware of the Vision Zero effort that the city has been embarking on. And we had a tremendous leader in Kimberly Sargent for that program. Unfortunately, while she was traveling with her family some months ago, she was struck by a drunk driver. In some ways so tragically ironic, and after suffering traumatic brain injury and several other injuries, she succumbed to her injuries about 2 weeks ago. So, the staff is processing that, and I think more motivated than ever to make sure that we really focus on this Vision Zero program, particularly to honor her memory. We are getting ready to kick off the effort to develop our Vision Zero program. We have been doing a variety of activities, but there will be a formal plan that will be developed. The consultant that was selected for this project has tremendous experience in this area. We'll be touching on a number of different efforts. There will certainly be a significant public engagement process. The outcome of this will be an action plan and a commitment to a target date for when we will hit zero fatalities. All the projects that we're working on, we look at knowing that this is coming and knowing that that is a major and important goal for the city, is to protect everybody, however you are choosing to move, whatever mode you choose to use, that you are safe doing that. The exciting times that we have with the legislation that was passed at the federal level, the staff has been very forward-thinking and very diligent about preparing different grant applications. We've looked at a wide variety of projects. We've teamed with MARTA to pursue a grant for the Campbellton Road project, the BRT project. We have a number of other projects. There are different categories within the legislation, and so we've been very strategic looking at projects that very specifically align with those programs. One that I'm very excited about is the Reconnecting Communities project, which will connect the HBSUs to the MARTA station with a very safe environment, an enhanced sidewalk and bridge crossing from the campus side to the transportation facilities. We also have several other bridge projects that are very much needed in the city, and we're pursuing federal funding to help us accelerate getting those projects done. Lighting is a big deal. We all know that lighting is not only important in and of itself, but it's a big part of the safety for the community. That's the safety of the motoring public, the pedestrians and bicyclists, and just the community members in their neighborhoods. I don't expect you to read this. We'll send you a copy of this presentation, but this is just a general summary of the process for doing some of the lighting improvements. I know that the mayor made a commitment for 10,000 lights. I'm happy to say that in partnership with Georgia Power, the number will end up being something just over 11,000. They have identified additional locations where illumination is really important, and they've been a great partner, moving pretty quickly getting lighting installed. We've gotten some really good feedback from the community, places where the lighting has already come up and been activated, and they're very pleased with the outcome. Our TIM group is working very hard. The challenges with the supply chain certainly creating a few issues, but despite all of the challenges with staffing, with equipment, and with supply, they have really been progressing very quickly. Our pothole posse proudly has completed over 4,000 pothole repairs this year already. They've also done repairs on over 6,000 linear feet of sidewalk. I'm also really pleased because we have a really good working relationship with Department of Watershed Management. Some of the pothole situations are because there are water leaks, and we're working very closely with Watershed Management to identify where those are the causes, because it doesn't help for us to fill a pothole if there's a water issue, and it will just erode the repair. So it's been a really good partnership. We intend to keep the pace and, when possible, pick up the pace as materials and personnel are available. But we're very excited to be able to run this program at this level. Here are just some more statistics about what has been accomplished. As you can see, the rate per day is pretty significant. The team is out there. They're strategic in focusing in select areas and moving around the city to make sure they get to everybody, every area that needs that kind of work. The strategy and planning group has been very actively working. We have the September 30th deadline for providing the plan for how we're going to execute T-SPLOST 2.0 and the bond program. We are developing a methodology for the prioritization of projects, the selection of projects, so that there's a very systematic way that we're going to go around about delivering so that we always have projects in the different phases of development. We want projects that can be delivered quickly, spread out throughout the program so that there's always construction happening. We have projects that have been designed that are ready for construction, but we have many projects that obviously need design. So we're going to schedule those out so that you're always seeing activity out throughout the city, deploying the new projects. We are pursuing some additional funding. We recognize that the funding was adequate for the aspirational list of projects, but we also know that inflation is going to hit this budget pretty hard. Georgia DOT, for example, the projects that they've been putting out for letting have been coming in anywhere from 25, 50%, sometimes 100% over what they were budgeted. So we're also looking creatively to see where we can parlay additional funds so that we can deliver this program well and have a robust program. Let's see. I mentioned earlier some of the projects that we're pursuing federal funding on. This is just a quick summary of those. The Marietta Road Bridge is of particular importance because of the very low rating on that bridge, and it has been in that situation for many years, so we feel that that's a very high priority to get repaired. What's coming up next? Just working closely with all of our partners based on the legislation that was previously approved. We're working as closely as ever with our CIDs who are poised to help us deliver some of the projects that we have in the pipeline. We're working closely with Georgia DOT on some resurfacing projects and working with many of our other partners. We have a great comms team, and they're sharing a lot of information through our social media channels, which is helping to get the message out about the different projects, the different efforts, and creating a dialogue with the community that participates in all of these different channels. And with that, I thank you for your time, and I'm happy to answer any questions that I can.
Thank you, Commissioner. First, I want to recognize Councilmember Lewis, who's joined us. My colleagues have questions. Please hit their speaker buttons. I will start and then turn to my colleagues. My questions relate to the pursuit of federal funding. There's one thing that was a bit of a surprising omission or absence on this list is under the Reconnecting Communities pilot, which Secretary Buttigieg has very actively championed as a way to redress wrongs from past infrastructure decisions, the largest of which is the gash to the center city of 7585, which displaced thousands of residents, primarily Black residents. And yet there's two projects in the center city pushing toward capping the connector and reconnecting the east and west or north and south, depending on the orientation of the connector, the two sides. And I know one of them, called the Stitch, has received active support from Senator Warnock and Representative Williams, as well as GDOT, to position us to apply for federal funding under that Reconnecting Communities pilot. And it's not on here, and I'm not sure if this is a final list or if there's ongoing discussions, but I wonder if you could comment on that. I'll also note that on one slide, it lists the Lee Street Multimodal Corridor Project, terrific. Another slide, it says, need to finalize choice with the mayor's office, so there's a bit of contradiction between the two.
So the question is how many projects to apply for at one time. And so there is an ongoing conversation. The Reconnecting Communities one, we have decided it is definitely one that will go forward. The question is how many more. There were 4 or 5 other projects that were put forward, the Stitch being one of them. And so we are having conversations to determine the final number that will be supported by the mayor's office.
Well, I will press and say I encourage the administration, I will continue to advocate for us to apply for as many projects as possible. I think it is a strategic error to say we should pick just one. The proof has been in the pudding in previous federal grant applications where the city put up one project and we had to fight to get another one on there, including it was actually the Stitch. And both projects got funded over, I think, a strategy error and suggesting we should only apply for one. This is a generational moment for federal funding for cities and transportation. And we have not only political alignment with the administration, but I think philosophical alignment on the types of transportation infrastructure projects we need to see in our city and what the federal government is willing to provide funding for. And so when we look back 10, 15 years from now and we realize, hey, maybe we could have asked for more or put more up, we'll regret that. And so I think there's room to apply not only for the Lee Street multimodal corridor project, but for some of these bigger transformational projects as well. So I will continue to press y'all on that. My colleagues may feel differently, but I think it's important for us to make the most of this moment with the federal government.
No disagreement on that at all. And it's a matter of, we know it will be more than one. We don't know if 5 is too much. So that's kind of where we are, is how many gets us to the right level, but isn't so much that we miss out on one that is a really important one. So,
right. Well, I suspect y'all are doing this, but I would encourage y'all to speak with our federal representatives.
Absolutely.
They've been active in advocating for many of the projects that aren't listed here, and they could probably give us a good temperature check as to what to include and what not to include. Yeah. Councilmember Sean Waits.
So my request is not as important as yours, but nonetheless, I'm curious as to the pothole repair process. What do you suggest in terms of getting that information to you? Because I noticed in certain parts of the city, there seems to be a constant need to keep repaired in various areas. And so how do we get that information to you?
you're certainly welcome to email me if you have specific locations you want us to study to see if there's an underlying cause that is creating that issue. Happy to take a look at that.
Councilmember Overstreet.
Good morning. Thank you, Commissioner Bomar, for your presentation today. I too I had a few questions while you were speaking. Councilmember Faroki did touch on it a little bit because I'm just a huge advocate for a prioritization list, one that is done intentionally, depending on, what's available, of course, but depending on how bad the city can use it. So I think that we should always submit lists, as many as possible, of course, also, with priority in mind. So, not just like we're throwing spaghetti at the wall. I just like it to be very deliberate and intentional. But my constituents have a few questions, and I did ask this when we did sit down with Congresswoman Nakima, and we were talking about connecting cities. I-66 is not eligible because it's not a federal a federal driveway, whereas some of these other expressways that were put into place, from a historical lens, my community feels like 66 broke our communities up, because on either side of I-66 at Campbellton and DeLoe and that whole area there, that big, huge 66 really did divide the families up in the communities. So I thought at first that was an opportunity for us to, connect over in that area, and then we were given the details of how you could actually be considered for this, and 66 is not, because it is not a federal expressway, if that makes sense. Can you explain to us more? Because now I know, since we're talking about this at length today, that my constituents are going to have more questions about why aren't we looking for ways to, connect Campbellton back to those other areas that were taken away from Campbellton because of, and it really has made been a problem in the community. Now Campbellton, to me, is, not vitalized because of the communities being disconnected from the expressway. So do you know the details of why 66 would not be eligible?
I don't offhand, but I will gladly get that information and get back to you very quickly on that.
Okay. But I did ask that question of the Congresswoman when she was here, and her team was very clear about why not. But I would like to convey those answers to the community.
And if not through that mechanism, we should certainly look to see if there's another way to accomplish that goal.
Okay, and guess what? That's next.
Okay.
So that's what I'm leading to.
Okay.
Because that cannot be a federal initiative, is no reason why it couldn't be something that the city, ATL-DOT, can look at. How to better connect. Because we did do the Greenbrier LCI, and one of the plans that the community actually voted on and approved was to connect those areas back that were disconnected because of 66. So, I just want to keep that at top of mind, and want to make sure that ATL-DOT is clearly stating who's eligible for these funds, because of course every community is going to want it, and we want to be clear about which bucket of money is coming from, who's eligible for it, who's not, and why. But that doesn't mean that we can't have our own kinds of initiatives as a city, for communities that were broken up because of big expressway projects. Yeah?
I will look into that. Absolutely.
Okay.
Get back with you on that.
All right. And also, can you just touch real quick on where we are with Cascade? Because I want to also, the Cascade Complete Streets project, I want to also be more communicative with the community about that, because we don't see the dirt moving, so they're concerned. And I want to make sure everybody understands where we are at all times. I always talk about the tracker, like the Domino's pizza tracker. I think that we should, model that. So that people know that we are, it's still, that engine is still running, and we want them to know where we are with it. So
I can tell you a piece of the status of it, and I'll gladly send you the update. We just recently updated the project sheet for that project. So when it was originally put out on the street, apparently the utilities were not included in the documents. So there had to be a pause. That work is, the engineering work is happening now to get all that incorporated, and there are some utility relocates that are going to have to happen. So the project will start later than was originally anticipated. But we do have, and I apologize, I don't remember the exact dates, but we do have the revised schedule. And
have you updated the website with any of that information?
I believe that the project sheets were just approved last week, and so I'll check. They should have been posted. Okay. We have for that, and also the DeKalb Avenue projects, because both of those are collaborations with Department of Watershed Management as well as Atlanta DOT. Okay.
This has been in the works since like 2016, and now it's 2022. So, it's very scary for a community to feel like we're at the top of the list, but, don't really have the communication we need and the actual efforts conveyed or shown. And I just want us to make sure the community understands that this is happening. I mean, some really are thinking it's not even happening.
Oh, no, it's
So,
happening.
you know, and of course, I think so too. I mean, it's on my watch. I feel like it's happening. But at the same time, you know, my word is just that.
I will
They
get
wanna
you that
see it.
updated information, and I will make
Okay.
sure that the website is updated as well.
Okay. All right. Well, Chair, I yield.
Thank you, Councilmember Overstreet. Councilmember Dozier.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. First, I want to echo Councilmember Overstreet's concern about Cascade. I get the same concerns from my constituents. I recognize that with the infrastructure bond and T-SPOS package voters voted on back in May, some of these projects that weren't fully funded through Renew were added to that project list to ensure full funding. But with the fact that we haven't really seen much communication or movement, not only just on Cascade, but on Nutter Park, on the Lee Street, Safe Street Corridor, so forth and so on. Projects that were discussed for years, just general concern and malaise around, you know, we just want more information. When are we going to start going through the design process? When are we going to get schedules? When are we going to see community engagement around what these projects are going to look or feel like? And so I just want to echo those concerns that, hey, we voted on all this money. What's next? And I know ATL-DOT is working through that and figuring that out, but the more that can be communicated up front, the more it will put our constituents' minds at ease, especially as we've advocated for many of these projects as well. So I just want to echo those concerns.
Yes, sir.
I also want to echo the concerns that were shared by Councilmember Faroki around our application process for our federal grants. Reconnecting Communities is such a wonderful opportunity for our city. So much damage has been done to many of our communities. I have 2 interstates that cut through my district, and want to make sure that not only is the administration actively looking at these projects and assessing these projects and being equitable in the assessment of these projects, but communicating with us as council members and as advocates of our communities. On one hand, I do support the Stitch project. I think it will be phenomenal to reimagine the downtown connector, but I will say that I was a little bit concerned on the Lee Street project just because I've advocated for it, the Atlanta University Center Consortium has advocated for it, the folks in the West End community have advocated for it. This is the first I've actually seen that the administration was looking to move forward with seeking federal funding for that project. Even I've advocated for that, but you know, I would love to learn more about what the administration is thinking, what sort of design elements are being considered, what larger considerations are being made with connectivity with not only with the AUC, but also with the West End MARTA station, also with the potential Mall West End redevelopment, just making sure all of those things are taken into consideration and just being communicative about what the vision is and what the expectations are. So I just want to echo that as well. I did have a specific question around the lighting presentation that you shared. You know, the number one transportation-related feedback that I've gotten from constituents has been around our Safe Streets initiatives. When am I going to get speed humps? When are we going to get sidewalks? Those sorts of things. And we've tried, and you know, your staff has been phenomenal in working with my team in getting those projects on the list, working with Jordan and Mark and others on your team to get that going. The number 2 concern that I've gotten has been around lighting and when are we going to get new street lights in our neighborhoods? When are we going to see certain lights get fixed? And one of the conversations I've had with folks is that there's this, you know, light up the night plan that the administration, starting with the previous administration, has been working with Georgia Power. What I would love to see is more information about not only where we are on that, but also where we're going on that, when certain lights are being activated and the timelines, so forth and so on. And I bring that up specifically because I see the maps that you shared that show working lights, non-working lights. It's a little disconcerting that, and I'm squinting a little bit, so bear with me. But it's a little disconcerting that it looks like essentially south of the Beltline, there are no lights on, like when you plot it out on that GIS map, there are no lights at all. And I know that in reality there are lights in certain parts of our communities, but it's not reflected on this map. But then on the map that you have that shows completed light install area, in progress light install area, it seems like that's where there's a lot more coverage in terms of what's displayed on the map here. So just if you could share that information with us as council members so we can see what the administration is working on, what the timelines are for those lighting projects, so we can communicate that back with our constituents, because I'll be happy to use discretionary funds to support new light installations, but what I don't want to have happen is if there's already a plan for new lights or repair lights in certain places, if the coordination is already happening with Georgia Power, that we're not creating additional administrative chaos by stepping in a place where there's already work being done. So I just want to be able to better coordinate those efforts and get a little bit more transparency on those efforts, so we can be better advocates for something that's such high demand for our constituents. So the maps that you share here, if there's either an interactive version or a larger, higher resolution version that you can share with us, and I recognize that there's some things that are being in the works. Let us know if there's any sort of considerations around confidentiality, yada, 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 but we would just love to have that higher level of transparency on where things are now, where they're going, and so we can better communicate that with our constituents. Mr. Chair, that's all I have.
Thank you, Councilmember Dozier. Councilmember Lewis.
Thank you. Thank you, Councilman. Thank you, Chair. I echo my colleagues with saying, I think they're all saying we want to see some shovels in the ground. And so I echo them in saying we want to see some shovels in the ground. I completely stand in solidarity with Councilmember Faruqi in saying that this is generational money, infrastructure money. We want to see you be flexible, creative. I want to see you be a shark. I'm a shark. I want us to go after every single dollar. So that's what it sounds like we want to see. That's what we're used to seeing coming from our Department of Transportation. And now I put in some creative things that I saw myself. The biggest glaring thing I saw when I look at this is great partners, right? But I see Georgia State and I see Georgia Tech. And I'm always concerned because, as Councilmember just said, the AUC didn't get what it was supposed to get. So I'm always concerned whenever I see partners, a big group of partners, and we know what city we live in. I don't see Atlanta Metropolitan College. I don't see Morehouse. I don't see Spelman. I don't see Clark.
I will address that point.
I don't see Morris Brown.
Point well taken.
And we get these all the time. And this is my first time talking about it because this is a department in the city of Atlanta. It's not a outside group. We need to fix this ASAP.
Done.
Another one I want to talk about is Georgia Power Phase 3 lighting. I want to see that video, that link that you have. But looking at the map, again, like Councilmember Dozier just said, the Northeast got lights, looks like Cascade got lights. This heat map is very glaring because I don't see any of them in my district. I don't see any of them in my district. So I would like to know if I can get a list of where the lights were in District 12. I would like to get a list of where these new lights that we spent all this taxpayer dollars on and this partnership with Georgia Power, I want to see where they went. Lastly, I want to know how does a person become a partner to get on this list so that I can go to them, because I'll go over to the AUC, Councilmember Dozier, if you want to join me, because I want to talk to these presidents, these dynamic HBCU presidents, to see what do they need to do so they can become a partner of the city of Atlanta, because they need lights as well. Thank you. That's a question. I want to know, how do they become a partner?
Well, I think the first thing is a conversation. I would love to have the opportunity to go with you to meet with these folks, and it's about what their needs are and what what relationship they want to have with us. I'm looking at partnerships. Many of the ones that you're seeing are organizations that have the capacity to help us deliver projects. That's the nature of many of those. So the question is, what type of relationship do they want to have with our group? They may have relationships with different groups in the city for different purposes.
But ain't no group in the city like Atlanta Department of Transportation. Whenever I see Georgia Tech there and I see Georgia State there, those are the two big schools in Atlanta. But the AUC is a thing.
It is.
And however Georgia Tech and Georgia State got there, I'm sure. I know the president down at Clark Atlanta would love to see Clark Atlanta emblem on this as well.
Let's go have a meeting with them.
President French, that's his name, President French. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Lewis. I'll just note for ATL-DOT, I've heard a lot of requests, and I would ask that, if possible, by next committee meeting, you're able to provide the information to
You bet.
council members who've made requests. Some are questions, but I've heard a lot of requests up here. Councilmember Juan.
Thank you, Chairman Farokhi. I'll make my comments quick just not to belabor this. I also want to echo my support for the Stitch project, but more importantly, I want to acknowledge, at least for this council member, let us not let the matching funding from the city be the limiting factor. I think you've heard it. This is a once-in-a-generation opportunity. We have resources that we can tap into, both in terms of the fund balance and some of the other funding sources, and potentially even, if we needed to make adjustments with the infrastructure bond. Let's not let that hold us back. Leveraging our money to tap into other sources of money will get the best ROI possible. So I'm going to echo. I'm just going to put in that financial piece, given the other hat that I wear. I also look forward to, if I understand your presentation correctly, that by September 30th, we as council members will have a clear roadmap in terms of the infrastructure bond, as to how we can, projects that are ready to go in our districts that are on the list, how we can make sure that those start getting sequenced, as well as the discretionary funds that we have in our districts, that we will get direction from you at that point as to how to move those forward, correct?
We definitely we'll have the plan for the projects that are itemized. We will meet with each of you to find out. Some of you have very specific ideas how you want to spend your discretionary funds. Not everybody does. So to the extent that we know what you want, we can layer that in as well. The rest of it will work with you as the projects become defined to get them incorporated.
I just say that because I know the public has been understanding in terms of some of the slowdown with the pandemic on the first round of money, but there's pent up interest, demand, and need. And I think we're ready in a lot of instances, and just want to work with you. But let's again be aggressive on that one as well.
Absolutely, absolutely. The other piece, if I may, we also we as a department need to provide some education on how projects happen, because when we say a project is in construction, sometimes there are utility relocations, sometimes there's right-of-way acquisition. There are activities that have to take place where you don't immediately see the dirt turning. So we need to come up with, and I'll work with my comm staff to come up with an infographic that helps us understand, so we can all communicate better about what it means to be in each phase of a project, because I think we need to set expectations so people know what they're going to see and when they're going to see it when we say it's in a particular phase.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I think if we learned anything from the last round, let's let the pendulum swing to the other side, where we over communicate with the public, that we over plan and work and collaborate with your department in terms of, getting the ones that are ready, making sure that we're doing fair and equitable distribution of projects across the city, and let's do this one right. And I trust you will get us off to the right start.
Yes, absolutely.
Councilmember Westmoreland.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. 3 quick comments. One, I believe this is your first quarterly presentation, so welcome to the party.
Thank you.
Second, I want to echo council members Farokhi, Dozier, and Juan in my advocacy for including the Stitch in conversations about federal funding, most of all because of the GDOT letter of support. I mean, if that didn't exist, we'd be having a conversation about a really expensive project. Now we're having a conversation about an expensive project that has support from a state controlled by one party and senators and representatives from another, which is really special. And then third, I appreciated your comments about the strategic delivery plan needing to come our way by September 30th. And I pulled up the legislation we passed in May, and that plan will take effect once council approves it via resolution. So we all are going to get to have some accountability in making sure we communicate to the public and get projects out the door as quickly as possible. So thank you.
And we are going to propose methodology and certainly want some feedback from you before we finalize it.
Barring no further questions from my colleagues, thank you. Councilmember Lewis, do you have a question?
I was wanting to know your outtake on sidewalks. I didn't mention sidewalks. I know in my district a lot of people care about sidewalks. I didn't see sidewalks in the presentation.
Sidewalks is a huge component of our work program. It's just pervasive throughout the program. There's a significant portion of the project list on the south side of town. So that will come out in the prioritization, but that is a very significant part of our program.
Okay, can you add it to the next quarterly report? Because when you say the south side, that's what I represent. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
I will add as a follow-up to Councilmember Lewis, this committee for the last 5 years, Councilmember Overstreet and myself among them have been banging the drum on sidewalks. The city for the first time, I guess pre-pandemic now, so 3 years ago, finally did a sidewalk inventory. It would be great if there was a update on progress on what both maintenance, expansion, had a range of needs identified through the inventory, because we haven't heard much since then. And I know there's discretionary dollars that are being put towards sidewalks, or C-SPOS dollars. There's all these kind of pockets of money, general fund dollars, and I don't think we've had a comprehensive kind of reflection on where we are with sidewalk work. No.
By that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We will now, before we move to voting items, I would like to invite Amber Robinson from the Law Department to give some quick reflection on what lawyers do best, which is tell us no. Yeah.
Hi, good morning. Amber A. Robinson, City of Atlanta Department of Law. I'm not here to tell you all no. I'm here to give guidance. So there are some certain procedural issues with some of the ordinances that are on today's transportation agenda that request certain traffic installations, signs, crosswalks, that sort of thing, that the department is working through with various of the members. Specifically in this case, we have Council Member Wan's office did alert us to certain issues, and we have worked with his office in regards to some substitutes to that legislation. Due to these procedural issues, they are not in the best form as they should be, and so we wanted to alert you to that, to make the distinction between Councilmember Wan's substitutes and the papers remaining on the agenda. I would like to offer that the department is here to assist with preparing any revisions to these papers. Like I said, at this point they are procedural. They can be revised prior to Monday, but in light of the tranche of substitutes that would be coming before you, I thought it was important to note that that there was this issue.
Thank you. Any questions from my colleagues? None? Thank you, Ms. Robinson. Yeah. We will now move to Section G, ordinances for second reading. Mr. Johnson, I'll turn the floor over to you to steer us through.
Item number 1, 220-1595, an ordinance by Councilmember Jason Winston to allow a sidewalk waiver payment in the amount of $4,883.10 to be deposited into the District 1 Sidewalk Trust Fund for SD 2213, 673 Hamilton Avenue, and for other purposes.
Ms. Fulton, would you like to speak to this? And I will tell you, this is your second time here. Rookie move, still sit in the back. You're going to be up and down. I encourage you to sit in the front. Floor is yours.
We have no objections to this legislation at this time.
Motion by Westmoreland, second by Juan. Please open the vote.
The vote is open. The vote is closed. 7 yeas, 0 nays. This item is favorable.
Before we move on, Mr. Johnson, Councilmember Juan.
Mr. Chair, in light of the law department's advice and comments, what I would ask and perhaps suggest is that all of the council members that have submitted the always stops, that we take them all in batch and then send them forward. My motion will be to move them forward on condition of the substitute that incorporates the preferred wording by Monday's meeting. So I just, I don't know if that's the proper path to take on those, but I would throw that out.
I'm fine with that. Mr. Johnson, is this going to mess up your approach here? We can batch them pretty seamlessly.
Mr. Chair, since Councilmember Juan's papers are already substituted, we can bring forth the substitute for item number 6, 8, 9, 10, 12, and 13, and we can approve as substituted, and then for items number 2, 3, 13, 14, 17, and 18, we can approve on condition for the substitute on Monday's meeting.
Great, sounds good. Please proceed.
So the substitute for items number 6, 8, 9, 10, and 12 just revises the language as advised by the law department. It changes the caption, so I'm going to sound the caption.
Motion to bring forward the substitutes by Juan, second by Westmoreland. Please open the vote to do so.
The vote is open. Will everyone please vote? Six yeas, 0 nays. The substitute is brought before you. Item number 6, 22-01603. An ordinance by Councilmember Alex Juan as substituted by Transportation Committee, requesting the mayor or his designee to evaluate making the intersection of Berkshire Road Northeast, East Sussex Road Northeast, and Barclay Place Northeast, an always stop control intersection, to request the Atlanta Department of Transportation to install stop signs at the intersection. Should the mayor or his designee determine it to be appropriate to make the intersection of Berkshire Road Northeast, East Sussex Road Northeast, and Barclay Place Northeast an always stop control intersection and for other purposes. Item number 8, 22-01605. An ordinance by Councilmember Alex Juan as substituted by Transportation Committee, requesting the mayor or his designee to evaluate making the intersection of East Morningside Drive Northeast and Cumberland Place Northeast an always stop control intersection, to authorize the Atlanta Department of Transportation to install stop signs at the intersection, should the mayor or his designee determine it to be appropriate to make the intersection of East Morningside Drive Northeast and Cumberland Place Northeast an always stop control intersection and for other purposes. Item number 9, 22-01606. An ordinance by Councilmember Alex Juan as substituted by Transportation Committee, requesting the mayor or his designee to evaluate making the intersection at the 90-degree bend of Adena Drive Northeast and the 23rd block of Adena Drive Northeast an always stop control intersection, to request the Atlanta Department of Transportation to install stop signs at the intersection should the mayor or his designee determine it to be appropriate to make the intersection at the 90-degree bend of Adena Drive Northeast and the 2300 block of Adena Drive Northeast an always stop control intersection and for other purposes. Item number 10, 22-01607. An ordinance by Councilmember Alex Juan as substituted by Transportation Committee, requesting the mayor or his designee to evaluate making the intersection of Adena Drive Northeast and Parkland Drive Northeast an always stop control intersection, to request the Atlanta Department of Transportation to install stop signs at the intersection should the mayor or his designee determine it to be appropriate to make the intersection of Adena Drive Northeast and Parkland Drive Northeast an always stop control intersection and for other purposes. Lastly, item number 12, 22-01609. An ordinance by Councilmember Alex Juan as substituted by Transportation Committee, requesting the mayor or his designee to evaluate making the intersection of Parkland Drive Northeast and Orme Circle Northeast an always stop control intersection, to request the Atlanta Department of Transportation to install stop signs at the intersection should the mayor or his designee determine it to be appropriate to make the intersection of Parkland Park Drive Northeast and Orme Circle Northeast, and always stop control intersection and for other purposes.
Okay, I will move to approve as substituted. Is there a second? Second by Juan. Please open the vote.
The vote is open. The vote is closed. 7 yeas, 0 nays. These items are favorable on substitute. This takes us to item number 2, 22-01598. An ordinance by Councilmember Liliana Bakhtiari authorizing the mayor or his designee to make the intersections of Gibson Street Southeast and Northern Avenue Southeast, Holtz Claw Street Southeast, and Northern Avenue Southeast be made always stop control intersections, to authorize the Atlanta Department of Transportation to install stop signs at the intersections and for other purposes. Item number 3, 22-01599. An ordinance by Councilmember Liliana Bakhtiari authorizing the mayor or his designee to make the intersections of Hosea L. Williams Drive Northeast and Willowwood Circle Southeast be made an always stop control intersection, to authorize the Atlanta Department of Transportation to install stop signs at the intersections and for other purposes.
Ms. Fulton, any comment on these?
No, we have no objections at this time.
I have a few more.
Oh, you have a few more. I'm sorry, Ms. Johnson. Yeah.
Item number 13, 22-01612. An ordinance by Councilmember Neri Norwood authorizing the mayor or his designee to make the intersection of Collier Road Northwest and Overbrook Drive Northwest an always stop control intersection, to authorize the Atlanta Department of Transportation to install stop signs at the intersection and for other purposes. Item number 14, 22-01613. An ordinance by Councilmember Mary Norwood authorizing the mayor or his designee to make the intersection of Powers Ferry Road Northwest and Tuxedo Road Northwest an always stop control intersection, to authorize the Atlanta Department of Transportation to install stop signs at the intersection and for other purposes. Item number 17, 22-01617. An ordinance by Councilmember Dustin Hillis authorizing the mayor or his designee to make the intersections of Huff Road Northwest and Fairmont Avenue Northwest, Culpeper Street Northwest and Fairmont Avenue Northwest, and Culpeper Street Northwest and English Street Northwest in the Blandtown neighborhood always stop control intersections, to authorize the Atlanta Department of Transportation to install stop signs at the intersections and for other purposes. Lastly, item number 18, 22-01618. An ordinance by Councilmember Dustin Hillis authorizing the mayor or his designee to make the intersection of Marietta Road Northwest and Spring Avenue Northwest and the intersection of Marietta Road Northwest and Ellen Street Northwest in the Hills Park neighborhood always stop control intersections, to authorize the Atlanta Department of Transportation to install stop signs at the intersections and for other purposes.
Ms. Fulton, any comment or objection?
No objections at this time.
Thank you. Motion by Juan to move these forward on condition that the substitutes are presented on Monday. Second by Westmoreland. Please open the vote.
The vote is open. The vote is closed. 7 yeas, 0 nays. These items are favorable on condition. Mr. Chair, may we bring forth a substitute for item number 11?
Please do.
Do we have a motion?
Motion to do so. Second by Overstreet. Please open the vote.
Vote is open. The vote is closed. Item number 11, 22-01608, an ordinance by Councilmember Alex Juan, as substituted by Transportation Committee, requesting the mayor or his designee to install traffic calming devices on Wildwood Road Northeast between Wellborn Road Northeast and Lennox Road Northeast and for other purposes. Motion is approval of substitute.
Second, motion by Juan, second by Westmoreland. Please open the vote on item 11.
The vote is open. The vote is closed. 7 yeas, 0 nays. These items are favorable on substitute. Mr. Chair, can we bring the substitute forward for item number 20 and 24?
Motion to do so. Can I get a second? Second by Westmoreland. Please open the vote to bring those papers forward.
The substitute adds the correct placement of the traffic calming devices, and then once we vote on that, we can take items 4, 15, 16, 19, 21, 20, and 24 together as a block, and we can approve it on condition.
Great.
The vote is open. 7 yeas, 0 nays. The substitute has been brought before you for items number 20 and 24. This takes us to item number 4, 22-0-1600, an ordinance by Councilmember Liliana Bakhtiari authorizing the mayor or his designee to install traffic calming devices on Trotty Street Northeast and for other purposes. Item number 15, 22-0-1614, an ordinance by Councilmember Murray Norwood authorizing the mayor or his designee to install traffic calming devices on Colonial Homes Drive Northwest between Peachtree Street Northeast and South Colonial Homes Circle Northwest and for other purposes. Item number 16, 22-0-1615, an ordinance by Councilmember Mary Norwood authorizing the mayor or his designee to install traffic calming devices on Peachtree Memorial Drive Northwest between Peachtree Road Northwest and the dead end of Peachtree Memorial Drive Northwest and for other purposes. Item number 19, 22-0-1622, an ordinance by Councilmember Andrea L. Boone authorizing the mayor or his designee to install traffic calming devices on Howell Terrace Southwest and from Howell Drive Southwest to Boulder Park Drive Southwest and for other purposes. Item number 20, 22-0-1623, an ordinance by Councilmember Andrea L. Boone, as substituted by Transportation Committee, authorizing the mayor or his designee to install traffic calming devices from Hermer Circle Northwest and Tribble Lane Northwest to Linkwood Road Northwest and for other purposes. Item number 21, 22-0-1625, an ordinance by Councilmember Andrea L. Boone, authorizing the mayor or his designee to install traffic calming devices on Howell Drive Southwest and Martin Luther King Junior Drive Southwest and for other purposes. Lastly, item number 24, 22-0-1630, an ordinance by Councilmember Antonio Lewis, as substituted by Transportation Committee, authorizing the mayor or his designee to install traffic calming devices on Astor Avenue Southwest and Evans Drive Southwest to Sylvan Ridge Drive Southwest and for other purposes.
Motion to approve by Juan, second by Overstreet. Ms. Fulton, any comment or objection to these?
No objections at this time.
Thank you. Please open the vote.
The vote is open. The vote is closed. 7 yeas, 0 nays. These items are favorable on condition.
Councilmember Juan.
So now that these are all approved, and it's really all subject to funding, correct? And so, if I know that I asked the previous commissioner about this, but how is that sequencing determined, both order of installation as well as being in the line for funding allocation?
Each one is, the sequencing goes as they are approved. They're put on the list, and we're currently working through some that remain from last year. So as those are finished, we'll continue to plow through the list.
And how are we in terms of funding? Because I know that there was FY22 money allocated, and now there was also, I believe, FY23 money allocated. So do we have more projects than money, or are we still okay?
We still have more projects than money, but I will have to get with the gentleman that's over that to tell you the actual shortfall.
Okay. I mean, and if maybe, yeah, I'd like to see that just so that we know, and that way we can be transparent with our constituents as well once these pass as to the practicality of how soon they'll be installed. So thank you.
We'll provide it.
And before I turn to Councilmember Dozier, I'll note, I don't like lines, so this is just a self-reflection. I'm intending to use a lot of discretionary infrastructure dollars for speed tables because it'll be quicker in many cases than doing it this way. But I think Councilmember Juan brings up a fair point, which is council members pass these papers on speed tables, for example, right?
Yes.
And they get thrown into the abyss. And the same way there's a magic prioritization list that we don't see, it would be nice to see the queue of projects for speed tables and other items like this. Councilmember Dozier.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. My comment was actually was similar to Councilmember Faroki. A lot of my projects that I've done, I'm seeking to use discretionary funds to support, and just would love to see how those projects that are funded through renew funds or other discretionary pots fit into that queue. So my understanding, at least in conversations with folks from your team in months prior, is that those projects get prioritized because the funding is more immediately available. But just would love to have a warm fuzzy, for lack of a better term, that is actually happening. And so being able to see that in the context of the larger project list will be helpful for me to relate to my constituents, as Councilman Juan has shared.
We will provide it, but if you are, just as a note, if you do use discretionary funding to install the traffic calming, then that does get added to whatever, that work goes on whatever contract we have active, because you do have the funds. So,
Thank you.
you're welcome.
Councilor Lewis, you're good? Okay. Mr. Johnson, please continue.
This takes us to item number 5, 22-01602, an ordinance by Councilmember Alex Wan authorizing the mayor or his designee to install a pedestrian crosswalk connecting Morningside Village Shopping Mall at 14-2 North Highland Avenue Northeast and 1397 North Highland Avenue Northeast, specifically between the Family Dog and NOAX and for other purposes, and the sponsor requests that this item be filed, excuse me.
Second.
Just so you all know, what we're this is also in the correct form, so we're going to introduce the correct form on Monday as a personal paper.
Terrific. Motion to file by Juan, second by Westmoreland, along with the boo.
The vote is open. Will everyone please vote? Vote is closed. 7 yeas, 0 nays. This item is filed. This takes us to item number 7, 22-01604, an ordinance by Councilmember Alex Wan authorizing the mayor or his designee to make the intersection of Lennox Road Northeast and Wildwood Road Northeast an all-way stop control intersection, to authorize the Atlanta Department of Transportation to install stop signs at the intersection and for other purposes, and the department requests that this item be held.
Motion to hold by Juan, second by Overstreet. Please open the vote.
The vote is open. The vote is closed. 7 yeas, 0 nays. This item is held. Our next item is item number 22-01628, an ordinance by Councilmember Marcy Collier Overstreet authorizing the mayor or his designee to install appropriate traffic calming devices on DeLoe Drive Southwest and Boulevard Granada Southwest to facilitate road safety improvements in Adams Park and for other purposes, and the department requests that this item be held.
Motion to approve by Overstreet, second by Faroki. Any comment from Ms. Fulton?
No comment.
Okay, thank you. It was motion by Overstreet, second by Faroki.
But it was to
Please
be
open.
held, correct?
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. Is we holding this? We moving this forward? Moving forward. Yeah, to approve. Yes, please.
This particular paper has gone through the community, and it also...
No, except 2 of them. You know that's the truth.
Okay,
Ms.
so that's
Shakir,
not true.
We have a period for
That's
public
not true.
comment.
2 surveys on that street.
So that's not true. And so this is also an initiative by the Bloomberg Philanthropies Association, and what they're doing is putting in tactical sidewalks also, and the community, including Cascade Elementary School, came in to probably, 5 or 6 meetings over the last year, and they've already picked out the pathway, the way the art will look. We've picked out an artist, and they've also gone through the trouble of figuring out exactly where these 13 traffic calming devices are to be installed. And they've asked for this
In front of their house.
since...
It would take away the ability for citizens to park in their house and the mailman to be
Mr.
able to
Shakir.
They've asked for this.
It's going to inhibit mail delivery.
Mr.
And
Shakir.
you telling us
They've asked for this for at least 5 years that I've known. So now we are at this place, and I'm happy to do this for them.
So we have a motion to approve
Yes.
by Overstreet. My second stands.
Yes.
Please open the vote. Did you want to make comment, Ms. Fulton?
Yes, we would request it be approved on condition that this gets clarified. A member of our team who's responsible for these was a little bit unclear as to where the traffic calming was actually needed and which streets. So if we can get it clarified with him to make sure he has full understanding.
Okay. Which team member are you speaking of?
That was Mr. Ty, Mark Ty.
Okay. Well, so that wasn't my understanding. But, I mean, as a matter of fact, they've requested for me to put this paper in for June and July.
Okay, he actually wants you to add that the limits will be between Cascade Road Southwest and Fontaine Avenue Southwest.
Got it. So motion to amend?
They didn't have door-to-door.
Mr. Shakir,
They-
you've continually interrupted this meeting. You know the protocol. You've had public
Be able to respond to a presentation.
You know the protocol.
You caused that, sir.
We have never been able to yell from the audience.
I would ask that you remove, Mr. Shakir.
I've been over 500 meetings. I think I know the process.
Well, you're not acting like it.
Exactly.
Because, there's a period for public comment, and you're interrupting the work of the committee. You've made your opinion known, and I would ask if you're going to yell to please remove yourself, or we'll have you removed. But we hear from you every week. We listen to you. We take your opinions into account. But shouting during the committee's debate is not appropriate procedure for this committee or any other committee.
You think it's fair to change the rules in the middle of the game?
It's not a change in the rules. It is an amendment, and I'm not responding to you again.
Changing the rules in the middle of the game by not being able to answer questions in the presentation.
So there's a motion to amend, as stated by Ms. Fulton, to explain where the traffic calming device will occur. Second by Juan.
Can I read to you, actually, it's one other piece. So we're asking for it to be amended to say, whereas the installation of road safety improvements on DeLoe Drive Southwest between Cascade Road Southwest and Campbellton Road Southwest, 13 traffic calming devices, and Boulevard Granada Southwest between Cascade Road Southwest and Fontaine Avenue Southwest, 6 traffic control devices will make the street safer.
That's opposed.
Okay, and that's an amendment.
Yes, ma'am.
No, that's the one that's the only one we
Okay.
have public comments on.
Move to amend.
The only thing we have public comments on.
There's a motion to amend is stated.
Boulevard Granada.
There's a motion to amend as stated by ATO DOT. Is there a second by Juan? Please open the vote on the motion to amend.
Vote is open.
Drive by there today, you'll see the truth. Drive by there. Anybody that knows the truth, drive by there.
The vote is closed. 7 yeas, 0 nays. The item has been amended.
Move approval as amended.
Yep, motion to approve is amended by Overstreet.
Is that
Yeah, so it's on condition. I thought we just amended it to meet the condition. We've amended it accordingly.
need to make the substitute language that's requested by law, so we can, since we're doing all traffic calming devices as requesting instead of authorizing, am I correct?
Does it need to be a resolution versus an ordinance is the question, right?
Yes.
Can we move the paper forward as amended as an ordinance, or does it need to be substituted as a resolution come Monday?
I don't have the full language in front of me, but I would suggest that as the other papers were treated, that we would move this forward on condition that we amend the language by Monday to make.
Okay, so in this particular paper, like, we're actually meeting on Saturday to start the process of the tactical sidewalks that go with this. So as long as we're not holding it, I think that
you're
should be
not
fine.
holding it up. Yeah,
Okay,
Okay.
that's fine.
So tell me if this is right. There's a motion to move this paper forward on condition that a substitute is made on Monday to change the language of the caption to be a resolution. Is that correct?
Should be favorable as amended on condition for the substitute on Monday.
Okay.
So moved by Ms. Overstreet. Yeah. Second by, so moved by Overstreet, second by Juan, as eloquently stated, Mr. Johnson.
The vote is open. The vote is closed. 7 yeas, 0 nays. This item is favorable as amended on condition. Item number 23, 220-1629, an ordinance by Councilmember Antonio Lewis authorizing the mayor or his designee to install traffic calming devices on Arthur Langford Parkway and Lincoln Street Southwest to Lincoln Street Southwest and Taft Street Southwest and for other purposes. And the department requests that this item be held.
That's correct.
Motion to hold by Juan. Antonio, you want a second? Yeah. Second by Lewis. Please open the vote.
The vote is open. The vote is closed. 7 yeas, 0 nays. This item is held.
Mr. Lewis.
I just want to ask questions. Why are we holding this paper a link in that area? The community members have been reaching out to me for a while about just this portion. We talked about this Langford Parkway. She called it I-66 a little earlier, but it's a highway that runs through my entire district, and so I'm wondering. Sometimes the release points where you get off the highway, there's no light, no stop sign. Sometimes you don't know the highway ends or it keeps going. So I'm wondering why are we holding this particular paper?
Our team is requesting it be held because there is a little bit of confusion with the actual streets that are named in the paper, because it says Arthur Langford Parkway, and we believe you may mean Arthur Langford Place, but our team would like to have an opportunity to talk with you and make sure we understand where you're requesting traffic calming.
Place, Arthur Langford Place is the street, place.
So, Ms. Fulton, do you have a response to that? I mean, we could hold it, correct the language, and then pass it next week. If y'all are okay with it being on place, we can amend it now.
Yeah, we can amend it. We positive. We got a real-time answer right there. Place.
And I would not want to move that forward right now without you speaking with him. So that gentleman that you would need to speak with to make sure you're clear on where you're asking for this at, and that it can legally be installed there.
I'm super clear on my part. On my part, I'm super clear. Place.
So that would have to be with Mr. Mark Ty.
But I like what you just said, council member. We're super clear on our street, place. If you said the only reason why you're holding it because of that reason, we super clear.
Well, not just place, but he's unclear exactly where you're asking for it at. So I would ask that you would work with him to get that clarified so that we understand where you're placing it, and we're sure that everything that you're requesting can be installed.
I know my folks are watching this right now, so they do see we're super clear. And you said there's another reason other than just the abbreviation part, the place part, right? And it's between Thornton Street and Taft Street, but it's Arthur Langford Jr. Place Southwest. And I know y'all got better folks than I got, but we got it fast.
Mr. Chair, might I suggest that we reconsider this and then move it forward on condition of them. There's plenty of time for them to have this conversation between now and Monday.
Yep.
So move to reconsider.
Motion to reconsider by Juan, second by Westmoreland. Please open the vote.
The vote is open. The vote is closed. 7 yeas, 0 nays. This item has been reconsidered.
Then I'll make the motion to move this forward on condition of clarification between the district council person and the department with the substitute on Monday.
Second, motion by Juan to move forward on condition, second by Lewis. Please open the vote.
One moment.
As we're voting, my observation is DOT is not opposed to this. It just seems to be some confusion, so we'll work that out. And yeah. We've been rocking and rolling, Ms. Fulton, so we have made a motion to move this forward on condition that y'all work it out before Monday. If not, we can handle it then, but
that's fine.
Yeah. Thank you.
The vote is open. The vote is closed. 7 yeas, 0 nays. The item is favorable on condition. Item number 25, 22-0-1631. An ordinance by Councilmember Antonio Lewis authorizing the mayor or his designee to install traffic calming devices on Lincoln Street Southwest and Thornton Place Southwest to link to Thornton Street Southwest and Pryor Road Southwest and for other purposes. And the department requests that this item be held.
Can I ask sorry.
Mr. Lewis.
Can I ask why we're holding this paper as well?
It's for the same purposes that it's not clear where you're requesting traffic calming be placed between which points. So it's unclear for us where you want traffic calming to be placed.
Can we do the same thing that we just did on the last one?
I believe it's a motion to move it forward on condition that that y'all work out where the traffic calming devices would sit.
Second, and Mina will get with you all right now. Second.
Mr. Chair, can you report the mover and the seconder, please?
I'm the mover. Mr. Lewis is seconder.
The vote is open. The vote is closed. 7 yeas, 0 nays. The item is favorable on condition. Section H, resolutions. Item number 26, 22R4023. A resolution by Councilmember Jason Winston to request that the Atlanta Department of Transportation make the intersection of Grant Street Southeast and Bass Street Southeast an all-way stop control intersection, to request that the Atlanta Department of Transportation install stop signs at the intersection and for other purposes.
Ms. Fulton, any objection or comment on this one?
No objections.
Motion to approve by Juan, second by Westmoreland. Please open the vote on item 26.
The vote is open.
Mr. Juan, you're recognized.
The vote is closed. 7 yeas, 0 nays. The item is favorable.
So Ms. Grant, I'm assuming that this is going forward how we are supposed to do this, correct?
That is correct, sir. Our department worked with Mr. Winston in his office to make sure that this was in proper form.
All right, good. So that's good for us to know. So Mr. Winston gets a gold star for the day.
Next item.
Item number 27, 22R4029, a resolution by Councilmember Jason Dozier authorizing the mayor or his designee on behalf of the Atlanta Department of Transportation to apply for a fiscal year 2022 U.S. Department of Transportation Safe Streets and Roads for all grants in the amount of $30,000.00 for the implementation of the Pryor and Central Safe Street and Protected Bike Lanes project and for other purposes.
Ms. Fulton?
We have no objections to this legislation. Are there any questions?
Mr. Dozier, do you want to speak to it? Or a motion?
My small comment is safe streets for all, and I'll move approval.
Motion by Dozier, second by Lewis. Please open the vote.
The vote is open. The vote is closed. 7 yeas, 0 nays. The item is favorable. Mr. Chair, can we amend item number 28? It corrects languages in the caption and removes the second whereas clause.
Motion to amend by Juan, second by Dozier. Please open the vote on the motion to amend.
The vote is open. Will everyone please vote? Vote is closed. 7 yeas, 0 nays. The item has been amended. Item number 28, 22R4036, a resolution by Councilmember Andrea L. Boone as amended by Transportation Committee, a resolution requesting the Atlanta Department of Transportation and the Georgia Department of Transportation to work in collaboration to install a left turn signal at this intersection of Trinity Avenue Southwest and Pryor Road Southwest due to accidents that occurred to 2 city employees and for other purposes.
Ms. Fulton, any comment?
No.
A motion to approve. Second by Dozier. Please open the vote.
The vote is open. The vote is closed. 7 yeas, 0 nays. This item is favorable as amended. Item number 29, 22R 4156, a resolution by Transportation Committee authorizing the mayor or his designee to enter into amendment number 1 to the preliminary engineering agreement with CSX Transportation Incorporated for the replacement of the West Lake Avenue Bridge, to authorize the chief financial officer to issue a direct payment to CSX Transportation Incorporated in the amount not to exceed $8,900.00 and for other purposes.
Ms. Fulton, any comment?
No comment.
Okay, thank you. I'll move to approve. Second by Westmoreland. Please open the vote on item 29.
The vote is open. The vote is closed. 7 yeas, 0 nays. This item is favorable.
Thank you.
Item number 30, 22R 4157, a resolution by Transportation Committee supplementing funds under contract number FC 9877 for business and technical consulting services with Atlanta Airlines Terminal Company in the amount not to exceed $2,639,580.20 for fiscal year 2023. All contract work to be charged to and paid from accounts as listed and for other purposes.
General Manager Bayadari, any comment on item 30?
Good morning, Mr. Chair. Good morning, City Council member. Good morning, everyone. I would like to recognize a member of the aviation team that is here this morning with me, observing and to assist me where needed. In 2016, the airport signed an airport use and lease agreement with the airlines, a 20-year lease agreement. And containing that agreement is a provision for the airlines to provide and participate in our capital program. The airline went out as a consortium and hired a company called ALT Airline Liaison Team to participate in our capital program. And this is to put funding for fiscal year 23 to support the airline representative in participation of, in what we're doing in building the airport right now.
I will move to approve. Second by Westmoreland. Please open the vote.
The vote is open. The vote is closed. 7 yeas, 0 nays. The item is favorable. Item number 31, 22R 4158, a resolution by Transportation Committee authorizing the mayor or his designee to execute an agreement with Atlanta Airlines Terminal Company for CPTC miscellaneous renewal and replacement projects at Hartsfield-Jackson Atlanta International Airport for a cost to the city not to exceed $28,636,000.00 to be charged to and paid from the fund department organization account numbers listed herein and for other purposes.
Mr. Bayadari, it looks like you'd like to hold this paper, I believe, for the IPRO report. Is that correct? No.
No, sir. I never received the IPRO report.
You did not receive the IPO report?
No, sir.
And so I guess we'll have to hold it.
Okay. Motion to hold. Second by Juan. Please open the vote to hold.
Do we need an IPO report? No, I don't think we need an IPO report for this particular contract. This is with AATC, and I'll let the DOP speak to it.
Someone from the Department of Procurement want to speak to Mr. Bayadari's assertion.
Good morning, Philippe Jefferson, Procurement. This is not a form of procurement that requires an IPRO report, so it's not.
And can you just explain why that is?
It's not, hadn't been advertised or anything like that. This is an AATC paper.
So we've already held our motion to hold. Is that correct?
No.
No, we haven't held.
No.
But we have a motion and second on the floor.
No.
No? All right.
Yeah.
I thought did we vote? Yeah, we did vote.
We cleared out the vote, so, because the vote was motion to hold.
So the airport says no IPRO report is needed, given this type of procurement. I don't feel like I have the knowledge base to agree or disagree. We have two options. We can leave it held and come back to it in a couple weeks. We can reconsider.
So if I could add some more clarification to this here. In accordance with the airport use and lease agreement, there are certain renewal and replacement projects that is earmarked to be completed in the airport. And within those projects, either the airline or the representative, AATC, can do those projects. And so the process that we follow here, once we authorize AATC to move forward with solicitation, they then meet with DOP, OCC, and ensure that all the procurement rules are followed and the participation requirements are met before we execute a contract with AATC to move forward with the execution of the project.
Great. And I've received separate confirmation from city officials that no IPRO report is needed for this type of procurement. But would you like to make comment?
Agree that IPRO has not historically reviewed these agreements with AATC. It would fall within our discretionary ability to review contracts, but we have not done that to date, so it's not required.
Motion to reconsider by Westmoreland, second by Dozier.
Mr. Chair, you don't need to reconsider. We just, yes.
Because we're taking a vote. So it looks like we don't need a motion to reconsider. I will move to approve. Is there a second? Second by Dozier. Please open the vote on the motion to approve item number 31.
The vote is open. The vote is closed. 7 yeas, 0 nays. Item is favorable. Item number 32, 22R 4159, a resolution by Transportation Committee authorizing the mayor or his designee to execute an amendment to agreement RFPC 1220100, Concourse D widening construction management at risk at Hartsfield-Jackson Atlanta International Airport with Holder, Moody, Bryson Sovereign, a joint venture to increase the not to exceed amount to $165 million and 0 cents and authorize funding for further enabling work and early long lead items in the amount of $160 million and 0 cents for the services at Hartsfield-Jackson Atlanta International Airport. All services will be charged to and paid from the account numbers listed herein and for other purposes.
Great, Ari.
So this contract was approved by this body, and at the time we allocate $5 million to start some pre-construction work. Now we're in the throes of really going deep into pre-construction work, and we're coming back for the other $160 million for this contract so that we could continue with pre-construction services and start enabling work for Concourse D widening now that we are having clearer visibility on the overall cost for this project.
And just for the public's sake, this is the widening of Concourse D along the length of the whole concourse, so it's getting wider for more retail and other amenities.
As I mentioned the last time, this is our narrowest concourse at 60 feet wide. We're going to increase it to 102 feet wide, sizing the restroom appropriately, concession areas appropriately, circulation space, and gateway space.
Mr. Wine.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And just so that I'm clear, the original legislation for $5 million was simply a placeholder. It was just kind of to start the project, and then we knew always that we were going to come back and then essentially authorize the full construction value. Is that correct?
So this is only an element of the construction value right now. This is going to be, we're going to come back for many more hundreds of millions of dollars for this project. So this year, that placeholder of $5 million was to onboard the CMR, the construction manager's risk, and with guidance and for them to start their paperwork and stuff. Now that they're going into the market to start the real data gathering for us, so we know what the market cost of material will be for us to have a more defined overall cost for this project. This is the work they're starting along with some enabling work like water and sanitary sewer relocation and whatnot.
And ballpark, what do you, in your mind right now, what is the anticipated complete total aggregate construction budget for this?
So we are close and we are near firming that price along with the airline. So we have done the validation. We have gone out to the market and market the actual cost of construction today with inflation and everything else. And we're looking at a total cost of around $1.4 billion.
All right. And then my final question, and I'm channeling my inner council member Dozier here. So you are, I'm assuming you are witnessing and seeing inflationary pressures on construction, right?
We are, that there are inflationary increases in all elements within the construction world right now, from steel to lumber and labor costs, and more importantly, the available of prime contractors to do work out here.
If you were to guesstimate what that inflation factor is versus what it was, let's say 2 years ago, let's say pre-COVID, because COVID kind of did funky things to all construction costs. Are we talking a scale of 10%, 20%, higher than that?
So we are looking at an average scale of around 20%.
20%. Wow. Okay. Thank you.
We are lucky that it's not 58% when we started this exercise a few months back.
Mr. Westmoreland.
I'll make a motion to approve after my question, but I'm curious, in however long you want to take to describe this, how do you widen a concourse by 40 feet?
So it is not going to be an equal 20 feet on each end, on the west end and the east end of widening, because of the column support that we have to keep in place. On the west side, we will, I think, widen it 11 feet, and on the east side, 39 feet. Or 29, is it 39 or 29? 30 feet, and on the west side, it's 11 feet.
How long is that going to take, and what impact will it have to the passengers walking through the concourse?
So good question. It will take us about 5 years because we'll have to do it in multiple phases because we cannot take all 32 gates out.
Yeah.
We're probably going to take 4 to 8 gates out at a time. So it will be about 5 years. We will build additional gate to minimize the impact on the customer and to ensure that we do not affect the airline's operation, the airlines that are operating out of T. We are putting together an entire logistic plan in managing the customer element of all of this to include restroom, concessions, movement, the circulation flow of customers in that concourse during operations. So, you know, we talk about the complexity of doing things. This is going to be one of the most, well, Frank always tell me, every project we do is the most complex until we get to the next one, right? So this is going to be right up there with complexity in what we're doing because we have to build this in the middle of a live operation, both inside the concourse and outside on the ramp areas.
Move approval.
Motion to approve by Westmoreland, second by Juan, I believe. Please open the vote.
The vote is open. The vote is closed. 7 yeas, 0 nays. The item is favorable. Item number 3322R 4160, a resolution by Transportation Committee authorizing the mayor or his designee to execute an agreement for RFPC 1220264 Central Passenger Terminal Complex Fire Line Safety Enhancement Projects at Hartsfield Jackson Atlanta International Airport with NSMS, a joint venture in an amount not to exceed $33,500,000.00. All services will be charged to and paid from the fund department organization account numbers listed herein and for other purposes.
Mr. Udari.
So what we're doing, we did an extensive code compliance audit on our fire system in the airport, and there are a number of elements that we have to bring up to today's code compliance. We are not out of code, but whenever you touch a building, you have to bring it up to modern day code standard. This is a very large project, so we decided to break it up into different segments and over multiple years. We finished the fire notification system, and we finished Concourse T upgrade. This award is for this company to complete Concourse A and the AGTS, the train mall fire code system to bring it up to current code standard. Next year we'll come back for Concourse B, C, and E.
Motion to approve. Second. Second by Lewis. Please open the vote.
The vote is open. The vote is closed. 7 yeas, 0 nays. This item is favorable. Item number 3422R 4161, a resolution by Transportation Committee authorizing the mayor or his designee to execute an agreement for RFPS 1220311 noise insulation program design services at Hartsfield Jackson Atlanta International Airport with the Chasm Architecture LLC on behalf of the Department of Aviation in an initial amount not to exceed $250,000.00. All services will be charged to and paid from the council numbers listed herein and for other purposes, and we need a motion to amend to attach the IPO report.
Motion to amend to attach the IPRO report. Second by Juan. Please open the vote on the motion to amend.
The vote is open. The vote is closed. 7 yeas, 0 nays. This item is amended.
I will move to approve as amended. Second by Juan. Please open the vote.
The vote is open. The vote is closed. 7 yeas, 0 nays. This item is favorable as amended. Item number 3522R4162, a resolution by Transportation Committee authorizing the mayor or designee to execute agreements for RFPC 1220259 on-call construction management at risk services at Hartsfield Jackson Atlanta International Airport with contracts listed herein in the initial amount not to exceed $139,101,113.00. All services will be charged to and paid from the fund department organization and the council numbers listed herein and for other purposes. And we need a motion to amend to attach the IPRO report.
So moved. Motion to amend by Overstreet, second by Faroki. Please open the vote on the motion to amend.
The vote is open. The vote is closed. 7 yeas, 0 nays. This item is amended.
Motion to approve is amended. Second by Overstreet. Please open the vote on the motion to approve.
The vote is open. The vote is closed. 7 yeas, 0 nays. This item is favorable as amended. Mr. Chair, if there is no objection from the committee, the department requests that we take items number 36, 37, and 38 together as a block.
No objection.
Item number 36, 22R4163, a resolution by Transportation Committee supplementing a task order funding amount not to exceed $200,000 for use under contract number RFP 1210028 on-call engineering survey services at Hartsfield Jackson Atlanta International Airport with Corporate Environmental Risk Management LLC for the Department of Aviation on a task order basis. All services will be charged to and paid from the council numbers listed herein and for other purposes. Item number 37, 22R4164, a resolution by Transportation Committee supplementing the task order funding amount not to exceed $2,000,000 for use under contract number FC 9874 on-call electrical survey services at Hartsfield Jackson Atlanta International Airport with Cleveland Electric Company for the Department of Aviation on a task order basis. All services will be charged to and paid from the account numbers listed herein and for other purposes. Item number 38, 22R4165, a resolution by Transportation Committee supplementing a task order fund in the amount not to exceed $1,000,000 for use under FC 10322 on-call comprehensive environmental services at Hartsfield Jackson Atlanta International Airport with Environmental Solutions for the airport joint venture comprised of ACOM Technical Services and Edwards Pittman Environmental Incorporated for the Department of Aviation on a task order basis. All services will be charged to and paid from the account numbers listed herein and for other purposes.
Any comment, Mr. Badari?
This is just to add that fiscal year 23 money to the task order.
Councilmember Juan.
Thank you. I'd like to know with the on-call electrical, so that's item 4164, as well as the environmental, what the underlying funding was that we're adding the $2 million and $1 million to.
Actually, it depends on the amount of, it's all based on the amount of work that we projected that will be coming up this fiscal year.
Yeah, I guess I'm asking for the historical dollar amounts. I just want to know what that $2 million that we're adding is relative to what we've already spent.
Okay, so when this contract was executed, this contract was executed in 2018. Total allocation since to date is $8.9 million. We have used $6.4 million of that allocation to date, and
that's for the electrical.
That's for the electrical.
Okay, what about the environmental?
And the environmental, $2.4 million, and to date we have executed $1.2.
Okay, thank you.
Motion to approve. Second by Lewis. Please open the vote.
The vote is open. Will everyone please vote? The vote is closed. 7 yeas, 0 nays. Item is favorable. Mr. Chair, we have 5 items coming off our held today. The first is item number 4322R3718, a resolution by Councilmember Mary Norwood authorizing the mayor or his designee to remove the pedestrian median at the intersection of Valley Road Northwest and West Paces Ferry Road Northwest and for other purposes.
We have no objections to this paper.
Are you sure?
I'm sure.
Yeah.
I'm sure.
All right. This pedestrian island seems like a good idea every time I drive by it, but I will move to approve. Second by Overstreet. Please open the vote.
The vote is open. Will everyone please vote? The vote is closed. 6 yeas, 1 nay. This item is favorable. Takes us to item number 45. Mr. Chair, can we get a motion to bring forth the substitute? The substitute amends section 150 of the city code by adding a new section that gives ATL DOT authority to designate, certain no parking areas during school carpool hours.
Motion to bring forward the substitute by Westmoreland, second by Faroki. Please open the vote on the motion to bring forward the substitute.
The vote is open. Will everyone please vote? The vote is closed. 7 yeas, 0 nays. The substitute is brought before you. Item number 45, 22-01544, an ordinance by Councilmember Jason Winston as substituted by the Transportation Committee. An ordinance to amend Chapter 150, Traffic and Vehicles, Article 4, Stopping, Standing, and Parking of the City of Atlanta Code of Ordinances to provide the prohibition of parking in school carpool lanes during certain hours and for other purposes.
We have no objection to this moving forward.
Motion to approve on substitute by Juan, second by Faroki. Please open the vote.
The vote is open. The vote is closed. 7 yeas, 0 nays. This item is favorable on substitute. Item number 46, 22-01545, an ordinance by Councilmember Jason Winston authorizing the mayor or his designee to make the intersections of Grant Street Southeast and Ormond Street Southeast, Grant Street Southeast, and Bass Street Southeast always stop control intersections, to authorize the Atlanta Department of Transportation to install stop signs at the intersections and for other purposes, and the sponsor requests that this item be filed.
Motion to file by Juan, second by Faroki. Please open the vote.
The vote is open. The vote is closed. 7 yeas, 0 nays. This item is filed. Item number 50, 22R3982, a resolution by Transportation Committee authorizing the mayor or his designee to execute an agreement for IFBC 1220247, Department of Aviation Fiber Infrastructure Improvements at Hartsfield-Jackson Atlanta International Airport with BBH Symphony Joint Venture on behalf of the Department of Aviation in the amount not to exceed $12,227,063.75. All services will be charged to and paid from the fund, department, organization, and account numbers listed herein and for other purposes. And we need a motion to amend to attach the IPRO report.
Motion to amend by Juan, second by Faroki. Please open the vote on the motion to amend.
The vote is open. The vote is closed. 7 yeas, 0 nays. This item is amended.
Motion to approve. Second by Juan on the motion to approve is amended. Please open the vote.
The vote is open. The vote is closed. 7 yeas, 0 nays. This item is favorable as amended. And our last item on the agenda is item number 51, 22R3986, a resolution by Transportation Committee authorizing the mayor or his designee to execute an agreement with IFBC 1220293 with BR TU Construction Incorporated and D&D Hydrant Utilities LLC joint venture, West Economy Parking Lot Sanitary Relocation Project Phase 2 at Hartsfield-Jackson Atlanta International Airport on behalf of the Department of Aviation in the amount not to exceed $5,366,926.40. All services will be charged to the fund, department, organization, and account numbers listed herein and for other purposes. And the department requests that this item be filed.
Is that right, Mr. Badar? We filed this paper?
That's correct. As we spoke, Mr. Chair, you know, the hotel development have been canceled, so this project is no longer needed.
Motion to file by Juan, second by Lewis. Please open the vote.
The vote is open. The vote is closed. 7 yeas, 0 nays. This item is filed. And Mr. Chair, that concludes our legislative items for today.
Terrific. Well, I want to thank the committee, members of the public, and members of the administration for being here today. Any final remarks or comments from the body? And barring none, we are adjourned. Thank you all.